Belen, New Mexico, a place most people have never heard of. A small town of just over 7,000 people sitting quietly south of Albuquerque, nestled against the lifeline of the Rio Grande. This is not the kind of place where headlines are made. It's not the kind of place you expect horror. But on December 14th, 2024, something unimaginable shattered that quiet. Something that would ripple across the country, leaving a trail of unanswered questions, shattered lives, and a chilling 911 call that no one would ever forget. This is the story of Diego Lever, a boy who seemingly had everything, a loving family, friends, a home, but who would soon become the center of one of the most disturbing family murders New Mexico has ever seen. Welcome to Dark Matters TV, where we tell each story with love and respect for the victims and their families. If you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a case. And if you have been with us and yet to subscribe, go ahead. Your support helps us to shade more light to these stories to help understand them better. Before that cold December morning, the Lever family seemed like a portrait of happiness. 35-year-old Adriana Bencomo, lovingly called Andy by those who knew her, was a volunteer firefighter, devoted wife, and proud mother. Her husband, 42-year-old Leonardo Lever, worked hard to provide for his family. Together, they were raising 3 children, 16-year-old Diego, 14-year-old Alexandra, and another 16-year-old, Adrian, Diego's fraternal twin. Despite the closeness in age, the children each had their own path. Diego attended Belen High School, Adrian went to the School of Dreams Academy in Los Lunas, and Alexandra was still at Belen Middle School. They were your typical family: weekend barbecues, video games, movie nights. Leonardo filmed home videos of the kids at go-kart tracks, climbing gyms, even virtual shooting ranges. They smiled for the camera, hugged their parents, laughed as siblings do. It all seemed so normal, so wonderfully, boringly normal. But hidden in that quiet home on Camino Escondido was something darker. Camino Escondido isn't just a street, it's more like a whisper in the desert. A series of small properties spread out over desolate land, reachable only by winding roads, far from the hum of city life. It was in that isolation that the Lever family made their home, alongside Leonardo's father, who lived in a separate building on the property. This family of 6 lived far from prying eyes. Together, inseparable. Or so it seemed. At 3:30 in the morning, the tranquility of that desert was broken by a single phone call. One that sent chills down the spine of the Valencia County Sheriff's Office dispatchers. Valencia County 911, what's your emergency? On the other end, a boy's voice. Calm. Disturbingly calm. I just wanted to call you and tell you that I killed my parents. My whole family. It was Diego. What followed was a conversation that law enforcement officers later described as both bone-chilling and surreal. Diego confessed to the murders right there on the phone. No yelling, no panic. Just a flat, intoxicated voice admitting to wiping out everything he knew. When asked why he did it, Diego offered a horrifying explanation. I don't know. Something bad spirit possessed me. As the call continued, the dispatcher could hear the gurgling, painful breathing of one of his victims in the background, believed to be Leonardo, still fighting for life. The dispatcher, desperately trying to maintain composure, asked Diego to help him. "No," Diego said, emotionless. Deputies raced through the darkness to Camino Escondido. They didn't know what they were walking into, only that a boy claimed to have killed his family. When they arrived, they found Diego standing outside the home, calm, covered in blood. The gun, a small handgun, rested on the kitchen table inside. Inside that quiet, desert home were the bodies of 4 family members. Leonardo Lever, 42 years old, Adriana Bencomo, 35 years old, Adrian Lever, 16 years old, and Alexandra Lever, 14 years old. All killed by gunshot wounds, one straight shot to the forehead. What could possibly make a 16-year-old murder his entire family in cold blood? This misery is yet to be fully uncovered. According to Diego, he was possessed by an evil spirit during a period when families are meant to unite, to laugh together, to hold each other close. December in Belen was supposed to be a time of warmth, laughter, and the soft glow of Christmas lights, reflecting off tinsel-lined windows. The Lever household was no different, their home already decorated, a sparkling tree standing proudly by the window, stockings hung with care. But beneath those twinkling lights, something darker was quietly growing, ready to turn a season of joy into a season of horror. What should have been a celebration of love and family instead became a haunting reminder of how quickly everything can fall apart. As we continue uncovering this heartbreaking story, take a moment to click that subscribe button. Your support helps us shed more light on stories like this and understand them better. Leonardo's father, the boy's grandfather, lived just outside the main family home, in his own small apartment. That night, while horror unfolded just a few steps away, he remained completely unaware of the nightmare that was tearing his family apart. It wasn't until the flashing lights painted the walls of his living room that he realized something was terribly wrong. When police reached his apartment, the look on his face said everything. He didn't know. He couldn't have known. How could anyone explain to an aging father that his own son and his grandsons, his entire bloodline, had been slaughtered in cold blood by one of their own? How do you find the words to shatter a heart that spent decades holding that family together? To this day, Leonardo's father has never spoken to the media. Not a word. Not about what he saw. Not about what he lost. Not about the unimaginable weight of standing outside that home, knowing that the life he helped build was gone in an instant. And maybe, just maybe, that silence is the loudest grief of all. Neighbors were stunned. They were such a beautiful family, one former teacher told reporters. Diego was quiet but respectful. He wasn't violent. None of this makes sense. The school district scrambled to offer grief counselors to students and teachers alike. The emotional crater left by the Lever family's deaths was felt far beyond their property line. But perhaps the hardest hit were the local fire departments. Adriana had been one of their own, a volunteer firefighter, someone who gave of herself, who showed up on people's worst days to help. Now, it was the firefighters lighting candles in her memory. Diego was first taken to a nearby hospital for detoxification as authorities worked to stabilize him. Afterward, he was transferred to the Juvenile Justice Center in Albuquerque, where his fate would begin to unfold. Facing 4 counts of first-degree murder, Diego's future now hung in the balance. As Diego sat in custody, the Valencia County Sheriff's Office worked with New Mexico State Police to begin piecing together what had happened. Diego was described by deputies as extremely intoxicated, but the deeper puzzle wasn't what he did, it was why. Diego had no known history of violence, no history of arrests, no psychiatric holds. By all outward appearances, he was just a regular teenage boy. But something broke inside him that night. Was it substance abuse? Temporary psychosis? Was he telling the truth about feeling possessed? Or was that simply the panicked rambling of a boy who'd realized, too late, what he had done? While questions swirled, charges were filed. Diego Lever was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. But even here, controversy began to stir. Because Diego was 16, would he be charged as an adult? Should he be? Could a child truly comprehend the weight of such actions? Public opinion was divided. Lock him up forever. One comment online read, "Monster." Others were more sympathetic. Something must have gone terribly wrong for a kid to do something like this. Where were the warning signs? The legal process would take months, even years, to fully unfold. Questions about Diego's mental state, competency to stand trial, and potential life sentence or transfer to adult court all loomed large over the case. As the legal proceedings continued, the world was left only with the fragments of who the Lever family had been. Adriana, a hero to her community. Leonardo, a father who loved filming his kids' smiles. Adrian, a twin whose life ended alongside his brother's betrayal. Alexandra, just 14, with dreams we'll never hear spoken. The house still stands, empty, a family home now forever silent, except for the whisper of desert winds. Why Diego pulled that trigger may remain one of those haunting questions without a satisfying answer. But what we do know is this: for lives were stolen in the quiet hours of a New Mexico morning. A community was broken, and the question of what turns a boy into a killer will echo far beyond Belen. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of violence or harm, please contact your local mental health services or helpline. Thank you for watching. If you want to help bring more stories like this to light, subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe.